Okay, you're listening to the Social Impact Show with me, Sam Marshall. It is Thursday. Can you believe it? Time flies when you're having fun. 9 to 12, Mondays to Fridays, Social Impact Show. We talk to, conversate, engage with South Africans who are doing extraordinary things. And in studio, we're not going to talk AI per se, because I think by now we have an idea of what AI is. But Samantha Singh, founder and director of Fluid Intellect and celebrated winner of both the Women in Data and Women in Technology Awards, is at the forefront of AI-driven innovation with the launch of a new innovative AI tool named Satori. This groundbreaking generative AI platform redefines how business harness their data, offering intuitive, natural language-powered insights to drive strategic decision-making. Under her leadership, Fluid Intellect continues to bridge the gap between technology and business, empowering organizations to thrive in an increasingly data-centric world. Samantha Singh, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for having me.
This idea that data, that we are driven by it, consumed by it. If you don't understand the data, you cannot thrive. You can't build a business. Data is the heart of everything. You know it as an award-winning CEO, leader of an organization. Do we as the ordinary public know it, or do we have a sense of it? But do we know it to the same degree that you do?
I highly doubt it. I don't think so. I think a way to describe it is data is the new oil. And it's all tied into this new industrial revolution that we're living in right now, 4IR, the fourth industrial revolution. I think a lot of people just, kind of hear about it. They see new technologies, but we just carry on with life as we know it. But it's crafting the life of the future with robotics and with these artificial intelligence tools, etc. And all of this is constructed using data. So every piece of information that you put out there onto any platform can be used to craft new technologies, new products, new ways of living, to build the societies of the future. And the layman doesn't always understand this, but why should we? Because we just use technologies, or, there are other things that play in your life that, you're focusing on. But the catchphrase for a while has been data is the new oil, the way oil drove previous industrial revolutions. Every single AI technology out there right now is driven purely by data.
But it's a fair thing to say, Samantha, is that you run a company, Fluid Intellect. It's kind of your job. We don't think of things like, I don't think of the kind of technology that's powering my car. I just expect my car to work, and when it doesn't work, I take it to somebody who knows how it works. But I almost feel with a lot of the stuff that I'm watching at the moment, so for example, there's this Learn AI thing that I always see on my feed. If you're after the age of 40, learn AI, or else you're left behind. You guys do the kind of deep machine learning, what's it called? It's called deep learning, machine learning. That's kind of your business. We just want to use the tools.
Yes.
And that's the stuff that you think about.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's like previous industrial revolutions who mined gold. I just wanted to wear the jewelry. I didn't want to go and actually do the mining. It's a similar concept. I think it just helps for everybody to be cognizant of the power and not only the positives, but also the negative implications of data driving this new industrial revolution. And I think, the more data that is out there, like, for example, I don't for 1 minute believe that this is something new. I think it's been preempted for years and years by technology leaders. And there was always an intention through the internet to collect as much information about people as possible, and to make people want to give their information through cool technologies like Siri and, Google that you speak to. So you allow Google to listen in on your everyday life. It builds up a whole database of information purely about Sam. Only where does Sam go? Which, where did Sam use his credit card if you're going to use Google Pay? Which places has he visited when you go and check in on Facebook? All of these things. And then it helps to start almost driving your life using technologies, and where it would benefit the public, the general public or the layman, is to just understand how much of your data do you want to make available, because how can that be used maliciously against you? So on the one hand, it can be used to improve your life, but on the other hand, it could also place you in danger, from cyber criminals, etc.
Yeah, and I didn't specifically want to talk AI because I think we have a fair general sense of AI now. If you're into it, you're into it.
Yeah.
But I think what you've done as a South African business with AI, what you've done as a women-led company, right? I think is quite innovative, because I think we're going to talk about Satori. But it's not just Satori, it's the entire way Fluid thinks about what the future looks like. What does it look like on a day-to-day level? What does it look like from an operational perspective? What does it look like from a growing your business perspective? What does it look like from being intuitive to the challenges that we face? And I think those are the things that you guys are in the kitchen, and when I say kitchen, I mean your business, that you are constantly thinking about, hence we have Satori.
Yes, absolutely. At Fluid, we understand and have identified ways that we can positively use these AI technologies, not just on an individual basis, but from almost an economy basis, a South African country basis.
Because I heard you eloquently talk about kind of what Fluid does and how it thinks about business.
Yes. And, there's this digital economy, and if you look at, international economies and how they've grasped these technologies to build smart cities, etc. We can participate in that type of economy as long as we've got the right players building these types of tech. So Satori, for example, is generative AI. It's on the premise of like your ChatGPT or your Meta chat that you find on Facebook, etc. But what it does, it allows you to connect any data source to this kind of conversational AI, a chatbot, if you want to call it that, and start asking any random questions. Now, where that helps in the context of South Africa is that not everybody is a data expert. Not everybody can write database queries to get accurate information or to provide
and the
insights.
Right information.
Yes. So there's a time when you just want information, but then there's a time when you're looking for predictions and what ifs, and you kind of want to get advanced analytics out of that data to help make future state decisions or strategic decisions. And the amount of engineering that's required to build those types of dashboards or to provide that type of analytics requires specialist skills. Now, in our country at the moment, we've also got a bit of a skills shortage in those arenas.
Industry,
So a tool like this allows you to connect your data source using the power of generative AI and large language models. It learns your data from the database that it's connected to. And you can immediately start asking questions. How many sales have I made this year? How many more sales do you think I should make in order for me to be profitable?
I love that.
Yeah, it's
I
quite
really
cool.
love. No, that is like seriously cool, because it I don't want to put anybody out of a job, but I almost believe that takes the job. It will take the job of 2 or 3 people and outperform them competently in a way that adds real value to your business.
And you know where the other part is on that point, Sam? The empowerment that it will give to the person who actually has creative abilities to use that information. Instead of waiting for a technical expert to provide that information, they can now start asking questions and use their own imagination and creativity to maybe start a new product. So you're actually empowering people who previously were limited with information that was given to them. So this is all you're seeing, this is all I can do. But now I can sit and ask this thing a whole lot of questions, and it can help me to become more creative, and it will never outsmart the human imagination or creativity. But it can empower that person to start thinking differently and saying, hey, I decided on a new product. Let me take this to them. Or I decided let's work that way. So the amount of empowerment people can get from a tool like this is amazing, and especially in businesses and organizations where we kind of want to start growing South African businesses to be at the same scale and level as the international community. Put the power into the hands of the people who can actually do it, instead of limiting them by saying the guys from IT could only give us this dashboard, work with that, and let's hope that we succeed.
Take me one step back quickly, because as you're talking, I'm thinking, what were you seeing, or what were you as leadership as a team, what were you seeing when you birthed Satori? What was missing from your vantage point?
I've been working in this industry for a while, and I still work as a data architect. So I understand how data is served to an organization, but more than that, I even understand how data is structured and stored.
You're a doctorate, right?
No,
Oh,
master.
okay. Master's. Okay.
So I, don't agree with the way they structure the data sometimes and serve it back to the organization. So what I identified when this technology started coming up is how do we improve the way that we make data available. Now there's a term, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much here, but data democratization. So you democratize the data, so you make it available to as many people as possible. And it's just a common concept. The more information and knowledge that you can provide to people and they can start thinking for themselves, the more innovative they're going to become. But in previous settings, there's a select few people who have access to that data. They decide how it's stored and they decide what actually can be delivered. And we used to have fights with people from business saying, we're waiting for these reports, we're waiting for these dashboards, we need this information, and they couldn't get it. But what they could have done had they had access to that information, would have been phenomenal. So the whole thing was like, let's unleash it. Let's make everybody be able to access this data and see how creative people can get.
Yeah, and I think also from the conversation and the presentation you showed me, I yet again, and I think this is what Fluid Intellect again showcases at the highest level, that, and I think platforms, and I, when I think of what you've done with Satori and what I think of what M-Pesa has done for the continent, in terms of how M-Pesa has moved us forward in a large degree, how it also digitally, from an innovation perspective, put us on the map. I feel that what you've done with Satori is that you are changing the way we almost think of moving South Africa from I'm not saying it's going to change overnight, but I think what Fluid is doing and what Satori is doing is that you are positioning us as producers, and not just consumers.
Absolutely.
And for the longest time, Africa is to a large degree consumer based. But what you guys are doing is you are changing the conversation.
And the other way we're doing that is that I'm so proud of our African team of engineers. So our software engineers have all been recruited from the Tshwane University of Technology in Soshanguve.
I've been to the stunning place.
Yeah. I serve as the chairperson of the advisory board for the Department of Computer Science.
Okay.
And we bring the graduates on board. But I've also, visited a few other universities in Johannesburg to review projects, etc. But the skill that exists within that campus, and if you,
phenomenal.
And I'm truly proud of the team that I've got around the table with me. A few of them are South African, some of them are, foreign nationals, but still African.
Yeah.
But the skill, the energy, the creativity that comes out from them.
It's on par with the rest of the world, eh?
Yeah, so it's, and that's why I'm saying, and I scream it to them every day, I'm saying, you have what it takes. The playing field, AI has leveled the playing field for all of us. We're not playing on that same field anymore. Anybody can participate, so grab your piece of the pie now. Jump in on it. And what makes me proud is that they took up the challenge and they're like, well, let's do this. And training Satori is not easy. They get a lot of flack from me. I'm smiling and I'm happy now, but behind the scenes it's like
well, it's one of the, we haven't spoken about the other things that Fluid Intellect does, and I mean at some point we can in other conversations, but Satori is here now. Where is it? Is it available? I know that you are dealing or piloting a lot of Satori with institutions and organizations at the moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's somebody sitting in the car going, I need to, by the way, what a cool name. Satori. So people are going to go, I need to get hold of a version of Satori, look at it, engage with it. What is its relationship to the public at the moment? Because I know there's other ways you're using the tool at the moment.
So, it is targeted more to, an organization that has some data that they would like to get value out of, where they'd like to get insights.
So if you're a business and an organization.
If you're a business and an organization, that's where you're going to see the maximum value of Satori, because these models require a lot of data as well. So the more data that it has to teach itself on, the more valuable it's going to be to you. And the power of these models, the cognitive ability, will blow you away. And Satori, our version, can also answer in at least 7 of our national languages as well. So
that's the other thing that I love about it, is that not to say that these large language models don't have the ability, but this was proudly built in South Africa for a landscape that it understands.
Yes.
It understands the current environment.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Satori.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And the more data we feed to it, the more it learns, and the more it climatizes itself to the information. That's why I'm saying data is the new oil. So it climatizes itself even to your language style, the way you question it, the way you ask your questions. It learns all of that. It is amazing the way the technology works. And if you look at the context of South Africa, you find that not everybody in the workforce is skilled to a certain extent. So
Yes.
some people, English might not even be their biggest
language.
strength.
Yeah.
So they can now start questioning or asking questions in a language that they're comfortable with, and get those responses back either in English or language that they're comfortable with. And it's just a matter of the more you use it, the more it learns how you want to get answers from it. I'm bold enough to say that in the future, and I've said this to executives when I've sat around the table with them as well, is going forward, I seriously question how much we would still need visualizations. And I know that this is, something that the data community would probably throw their hands up and say, we need our charts. But I'm saying you're having a conversation and you're getting insights. Static charts mean very little compared to.
I think it's a very interesting point that, and maybe it leads me to my as we wrap up this conversation. What will Satori be in 3 to 5 years from now? What will it be?
If I get my way, Satori is going to be.
You will. It looks like you will.
Thank you, Sam. If I have my way, Satori is going to be the platform used in almost every South African financial healthcare institution that is used to provide insights, data, and information to anybody who requires it. And that is the drive that we're on right now. Data democratization, give everybody access via a tool that can be friendly, it's conversational. You get all the answers that you need right in front of you. If you do want a chart, Satori will generate it for you. But more than that, the learning that you as an employee of that organization can get from a tool like Satori is invaluable, because you're asking it a question, it's answering it for you, and you're learning in that process as well. So you're learning from it, it's learning from you. I don't even see why there's a question about it. A lot of people would say, why should we use Satori when there's ChatGPT, etc.?
I didn't even want to bring that up because we're proudly South African here. So I can mention all the others, but that's not the point. The point is, this is built locally.
Yes.
We've got to support this locally. We've got to make sure that organizations and businesses that are built in South Africa for South Africa gets positioned at number one. So I didn't want to mention the others, but I'm happy that you don't mind doing that.
Can I just you said Satori, a cool name. Can I explain to you why it's named Satori?
Yeah, please.
So Satori is a Japanese word that means illumination or enlightenment.
Yeah.
And I was reading, I'm into Stoic philosophy, so I was reading this book where the author used the word Satori, where you get to this point of enlightenment, and your mind is kind of illuminated. And we were building Satori already at that stage, but we didn't have a name for it. And then this light bulb went on in my head, and I'm like, that is what Satori does. it enlightens your data, it illuminates your data, it gives you more than what you were looking for, and it gets the user to this point of enlightenment that kind of says, there's the answer, So I was like, right, that's the name, Satori.
I love it. Samantha Singh, she's the founder and director of Fluid Intellect. Go to their platform, and just for you, in case you have got weird ideas about how to spell Satori, it's Satori. Go and find out more. Fluid Intellect is the company. That's Samantha Singh. She's the founder and director. She's a celebrated winner of both the Women in Data and Women in Technology Awards, talking to us about this proudly South African innovation that is a tool, a groundbreaking generative AI platform that redefines how business harness their data.
9-1